Okay, I'm doing this podcast under duress.
Okay, what's the duress?
Well, I need to have that black hat that's over there.
Okay, you can have it. But here's the thing.
I'm not going to wear it here now.
All right, so I don't know if you're worthy, but real quick, let me get this stuff out of the way, and then we can see if we can give you a pivot.
No,
black on black.
unless you promise me that hat, I'm not going any further.
I'm going to give you the hat, but not because you're here. I'm going to give you the hat because all the time and all the years that we've spent together and how we've endured each other. So welcome to The Necessary Entrepreneur.
I see that.
That's the name of the podcast, so welcome. I'm excited to have you here. We talk about all these stories. When you come around, there's always a Terry story, and people are like, I know there's one coming. But for me, the reason why I am selfishly happy about you being here is because the 15 years of my real estate business, we'll talk about the stories and how we met, and you're going to joke and make fun of me and what we've done. But I appreciate watching you and learning from you and listening to the things that came before I ever thought about starting a business. When I was a kid, what you were going through in business. You've started businesses, you've shut them down, they've succeeded, they've failed. You've been through the gauntlet of a business person, of jobs, of having a family, of living. And so I think there's nobody better than Terry Yaeger, who I knew you as the operator in northern Kentucky, southeastern Indiana, and really the Cincinnati marketplace of being the home inspection company that my real estate company worked with. That's where we got to know each other. And so the owner-operator of that, that's how I got to know you, and that's where we formed our relationship. But there's so much before and so much after, but I just know from being around you, you have a ton of advice, you have great stories, and there's some affinity that I share about the generations that came before me. And so we just got back from lunch. You and I can sit down and have a conversation. We could have lunch. Not really too many drinks over these. You have a drink and I have a Diet Coke. But we always have fun. I always learn something new. There's always something that happens to my brain when I'm around you. So for the next maybe couple hours, you're going to get to shine a light on your life, things you've learned, answer my questions, and bow down to me like you've never had to do before.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Mark. And as far as how long this goes as long or until the nursing home bus pulls up in front. I can't miss that.
Is that how you got here today?
Yeah.
You know what's funny? When you came down, I mean, you used to, this is the area you built your business in with multiple real estate companies, multiple realtors. You would market your services of a home inspection company to us. So when we would sell a home, so you've always said that you can say all the stuff now because you've sold your business. You now can say all the things about realtors and real estate companies that you've always wanted to say.
No, we don't have enough time for that.
But you did make a comment. You're like, man, I haven't been down here for a long time. That was a whole 45-minute drive.
Well, it was. And I remember coming down here in the mornings. It's like road rage. Getting here, had to be here by 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning, which most realtors would never understand that time of the day.
And I was one of those.
But today, I guess I forgot just what a challenge 45 minutes is. But then the next thing is, I'm not the driver I used to be 20-some years ago. And you talk about old people on the expressway. Well, here I am. So, but I got down here.
Hey, so since you brought it up, what's it like? So how old are you?
63.
Bullshit.
83.
Okay. So we're going to talk about a lot of things that we aren't supposed to talk about in society. We're not trying to piss anybody off, but what's it like to be an 83-year-old driver on the highways?
Scary. It really is. I've made some moves on the expressway that later on I think, how and why did you ever do that? Why you didn't cause an accident or why you weren't involved in an accident. So the thought process is not nearly as fast.
Is that really it? Like,
Yeah,
being
it's
honest
not as
about it?
fast. It's not as fast. And nor nearly as good a lot of times.
Why is that? Is it happening slower? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, everything's happening slower now. I mean, it is what it is. When I was in business, I loved every day. I got up every morning with a positive attitude. And I mean every morning. I get up with a positive attitude. Whether I was going to fix a problem or create a problem, I don't know. But I got up every morning and I'm happy. I'm happy to get going. Now, and I get 20, 25 calls a day, scheduling inspections, answering questions. Always had a thing with the real estate agents that even if we didn't do the inspection, if they got an inspection report that they just didn't understand, call me. Let me help you through that. Yeah, there's more than this than that one home inspection. Maybe I'll make a positive impression upon you. Give me the next one. So I had all these calls coming in. Now, if one of my daughters doesn't call me, nobody does. And if Jade and I aren't going to a doctor, we're not going anyplace. And that's really quite sad. Jane can't get out like she used to. So I can't say that we're housebound, but we're housebound, pretty close to it. So fortunately, Jane and I are blessed with 4 daughters who live real close to us, and they bring stuff to us or take Mom. Like today, Jane had a dentist appointment, and so Allison, as a matter of fact, Allison is with her mom today. Took her to the dentist. After you and I got out of the restaurant, there's a text there. She's going to have a tooth pulled. So that's a pretty exciting day for us. And you buying lunch was even more exciting.
I remember the days on the come up of my real estate company, and I don't think I'm ever going to feel like we've arrived. Because I think once you feel like you've arrived, you're going to start going away. But I remember, this lunch, I'm still a penny pincher because that stupid O'Charlie's lunch that we just had because you wanted a club sandwich, that lunch after tip was $43. I remember when me and you started having lunch, it was 18 and 20.
Well, I know it was $43, but you only allowed me to have half a sandwich.
Well, because I was trying to be budgetary. So
I see.
But I remember back in those times when you would come, you always bought lunch.
Different situation.
Yeah. What is that?
Well, because I wanted something from you, so I'll buy. Today, you wanted something from me, so you buy.
What do I want from you today?
This conversation.
Why do you think I want a conversation today from Terry Yaeger?
Well, I could say because you didn't have anything else to do today, but in reality, I've had a lot of experiences. I've been in business for myself since I was 27 years old. It started off, I graduated from high school when I was 17 years old. The following week, my father marched me down to the recruiting station, and the following week after that, I was in the United States Navy. Now, being in the Navy at 17, that really helps you grow up. I learned a whole bunch of new words and everything while I was in there. The one thing I didn't get while I was in the Navy was a tattoo. I actually was in line to get one, and I chickened out, so I didn't go forward. But while I was in the Navy, before I went in the Navy, I met this girl in the same class as I was in, and I had dated her probably, as a matter of fact, the only girl I ever dated probably more than once or twice. So after I was in the Navy and I was stationed in Kingsville, Texas, I decided that, she's a pretty nice kid. So I went up to the base exchange and I bought this engagement ring and a wedding ring combination. Now, I have the receipt for that at the Base Exchange. I have the receipt for that hanging on our wall in the family room. I paid $79 for that.
For both rings?
Yeah. Which was a lot of money at that time.
That's a big diamond.
Not a big diamond. But it seemed to have worked for 63 years. Jay and I have been married 63 years, so I guess it's not the amount you pay for the ring.
So the value you get for it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You've gotten a pretty good return on your
yeah,
investment?
Yeah, it was a true value. After I got out of the Navy, I became a policeman. Went through the Cincinnati Police Academy, and then I was a policeman in Green Hills, Ohio. And I was a policeman there for almost 7 years, 6 years, something like that. And I enjoyed being a policeman. Truly, I enjoyed being a policeman. There's terrific boredom coupled with a magnitude of excitement. And then you go right back to boredom again, especially in a one-horse town. You know, the town was so small, when I made a turn, I could see my taillights up in front of me making a turn also. But I wasn't making any money. I had 2 little girls at the time. And, you know, it cost us as much for a loaf of bread as it did anybody else, but I wasn't making as much as everybody else. So I had an opportunity, a guy Jane and I went to school with, to go on a road selling recessed light fixtures.
How old were you then? 34?
No, I'm about 28, 29.
20, okay.
Selling light fixtures. Well, my first year out, I doubled my salary.
From being a police officer.
From being a policeman. And I got a new car besides. I never will forget going down to Fuller Ford and buying this white Fairlane 500 that they put air conditioning in it. And I just thought I was the cat's meow. So, anyways, after I had done that selling recessed light fixtures, then I, along with that partner, guy, I formed a partnership, and we opened up the Lighting Mart in Cincinnati. Sold retail and wholesale lighting, chandeliers, wall sconces. You know, I thought my life, I bought so many light bulbs, I thought I'd never have to buy another light bulb in my life. So it really pains me to go buy a light bulb right now.
Because you sold tens of thousands of them.
Tens of thousands. Mm-hmm. So after that, a guy came in, and he also had been a traveling light salesman. He actually sold to us. And he needed to get off the road. Being on the road is not all what it's cracked up to be. When I was with Halo Lighting, the original one, I covered Kentucky, West Virginia, the southern half of Ohio, and Indiana. So I would leave on a Monday, come back on a Thursday night. Jane was home with the 2 children. She'd want to go out, maybe see a movie. All week long, I'd been out seeing movies and eating out. So, but I smiled, and that's what you do. So after the lighting business, I went into the air conditioning business. Now, I owned 3 air conditioning companies over that period of 30 years. Comfort Air was in Cincinnati. Aronco Comfort Air was here in northern Kentucky. And another company down in Bonita Springs, Florida, called Seasonal Systems. But after a period of time, the guy down in Bonita, down in Florida, he wanted to buy the company, and so I sold it to him. The 2 guys that I was with here at Aronco, they bought me out. And then the last thing I did, I sold to one in Cincinnati. So what I had done, I sold myself right out of a job.
How old are you then?
I'm going to say 60.
60.
59, 60.
Yeah.
So then...
so why not retire?
I thought about it.
Okay, so explain that thought.
Well, I thought about it. I bought a fifth wheel. The girls were pretty well grown up. Bought a fifth wheel.
4 daughters now.
4 daughters now, yeah. I had a boy's name picked out for every one of them, though.
What was that?
Well, the boy's name, but the last one, I don't care if it was the alligator, going to be named Terry after Dad, so that's that.
So she got Terry.
She got Terry with an I. So Jay and I went down to Florida. I actually worked a little while down there for the guy that bought my company down in Florida. Then we went out to Arizona, and we're out in Arizona for a while, and one of our daughters called up and said, there's a franchise for home inspecting by the name of Pillar to Post, and it's available in northern Kentucky. Well, that's all my wife had to hear. She's tired of being a nomad.
Get back home.
She wants to get home with her girls. So we came home, and I remember we started Pillar to Post in northern Kentucky. And my one son-in-law has Pillar to Post in Greater Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. So Jay and I were at a doings on a Sunday, and we're driving home, and my cell phone rang, and lo and behold, somebody wanted a home inspection. I can almost take you to the place where it was. We were leaving Germantown. So we were so excited. And we figured that if we could do 3 inspections a week, that we could make it go. Well, that was the first one. When I sold the company, we had just completed 40,000 home inspections.
Over what period?
Over 20
years.
20 plus years. Now, they weren't all good years. There were some we didn't do so good a couple of years ago. I remember 2008. The real estate agents would ask me, Terry, how's your business? Oh, I said, my business is about as good as yours about 3 days later.
So there's no doubt as we get here. And so then the last 20 years has been operating Pillar to Post, and you just sold it to one of your other daughter and son-in-law, who operate a franchise north of Cincinnati in Dayton, Ohio.
Right.
So it was kind of all in the family. You guys controlled Cincinnati and Dayton, and Pillar to Post was the largest inspection, probably still is, the largest home inspection brand in the country.
It is.
Maybe even North America, but in the country for sure.
And it is.
Yeah. So in all those years of business, once you became a salesperson, but then once you became a part owner of that first lighting of the lighting mart, then you've been nothing but an entrepreneur since.
Right.
And a business owner.
Right.
And that's what I want to get into today is like, hey, some of those stories. There's going to be things you won't share with us because I don't know anybody in my world of the business owners I know now. We have some really private conversations on the struggle. There's a lot of struggle in operating and running a business. And I think when people that have similar lives, I'm sure that people who are nurses can share the terrible stories about being a nurse. I'm sure police officers can. There's something about business owners and entrepreneurs that we can have a conversation sitting together about this shared experience, and we can talk about the good and the bad, but you can talk about the bad in those moments. And it doesn't feel like you're complaining. It doesn't feel like you're crying on your weeds too much because you're talking about the shared experience. But I want to get into some of that. But in all these moments, you talked about 2008. I went through that. So I've been in real estate for 18 years. When you're a realtor, you're an entrepreneur in some sense, but not in the complete sense. So when I started the real estate company, it all falls on my shoulders. Hiring everyone, paying the bills, managing, fixing every problem that comes to the business. It stops at me. Realtors don't have that. The entrepreneurial aspect of it is they have to go find their own business. They're 1099, so I'm not paying them to come in every day, but I'm giving them the foundation. It's as if I'm giving them a franchise, but they don't have to worry about paying the bills of the business, right? And so there's something entrepreneurial about it, but in 2008 when you went through it, that was really tough. I know it was tough about me, so I'm not going to share how tough it was, I don't think. But I was on the brink. So talk about that tough moment of business. Share.
Well, first of all, one of the things I wanted to bring up, when you talk to other businessmen
and women,
and women, and by the way, I can never be a male chauvinist with 4 daughters.
No, you can't. I know. We're in a new world now, Terry. It's wild.
But it's like being on a cruise. If you're on a cruise, you can strike up a conversation with anybody because you have that one thing in common, is that you're on a cruise. Well, the same thing talking to another business person. Of course you can carry on. They may be selling a different item. They may be in business for something else. But the everything that's there is there. That's common.
And there's millions of us in this country.
Well, we hire most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always hear about the General Motors and Ford and so forth and so on, but we are the ones who make
small business has more people employed at small businesses than the large businesses in the country.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
so 2008.
Well, okay, it was dreary, to say the very least. It was dreary. So I had to make up my mind that as dreary as it is and was, I had to go out there and pick up rocks and find those crawdads under those rocks. I had to end up taking business away from some other home inspector that didn't have the drive and the fortitude that I have to go forward. You know,
why is that? Why is it worth it to go through those tough times? Because there's a lot of people who didn't make it in both of our businesses. But why?
Well, you say a lot of people didn't make it in both of our businesses. Well, one of the reasons that I was having a hard time is that there was a lot of real estate agents who prior to that time there was so much business. They were backing into business. They weren't really working real estate agents. Many of them were just there to take the order because there were so many orders out there to be taken. Mm-hmm. So they went by the wayside right away.
So those relationships that you had developed, who used to refer you home inspections, a lot of those have gone away.
Oh yeah, but there are some home inspections that I do or have done for different agents that we're still doing home inspections for those agents.
Well, look at us today. That's our relationship. It's not with you anymore, but it's with your daughter and son.
Well, I mean, but the relationship you and I started is carried over to my daughter and her husband. But those relationships are, how do they say in the commercial, they're priceless. Not only did I like I happened to like the people that I was doing them for. I always tell a story about the agent that if we went out there and did a home inspection and we found something of concern, well, they reacted like this was a Chinese fire drill or something. And the reason they reacted that way is that when they got the order, they were already spending the commission before the job closed. So what did we do? We went out and found something or two things or whatever that had a concern. Well, then it's my fault. Those damn home inspectors. One of the worst things that ever happened to me, or I felt, went out and this house had just everything that was wrong with it. It was just a terrible house. So the agent had enough nerve to say to me, "Oh, you just do this so you can get another home inspection." You know, if it wasn't against the law, I'd have punched him right in the nose.
So they're saying that because when there's a bad inspection, when you do an inspection on a home, and even though there's some bad real estate agents, there's some really good ones.
Of course.
Right. But when a transaction goes south and the buyer wants to back out because of a home inspection, sometimes it was legitimate, where there's actually legitimate problems wrong with the home that you shouldn't buy it. If that's the case, the insinuation that agent was making to you, you're killing this deal, so they'll just pay you another $500 to do another one.
And I hated that.
Yeah. That's questioning your integrity is what it is.
Well, that's right, integrity. Yeah. You know, the home inspection business has come a long way. When I started doing home inspections, only about 20% got home inspections.
Of people that bought a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think it's only 20% that don't.
I don't even think it's that many. I mean, this isn't a real estate show, but maybe one day I'll have one and I'll talk about it forever. But I think that even when I would buy a home that needs to be remodeled, I'd flip homes, and I've done about everything you can do in the real estate business, buying and selling and owning and flipping and remodeling. But I would even call you and say, hey, Terry, I've walked through tens of thousands of homes. I don't need a full inspection, but can you walk through this and put your eyes on it?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to remodel the whole thing. So I don't need the plumbing to work. I don't need all the sewage lines to work. I don't need the electric to work. I can see what the roof is, but just put your eyes on it, would you?
Well, one of those things that brings up is that through that 2008, I actually developed a walk-through home inspection. Just like what you say. Mm-hmm. Maybe I didn't climb up on a roof, but I could look at the roof and I could have a pretty good idea what the condition of the roof's in.
Yeah.
I could walk through the house.
So the point is, with all this, it's like, hey, even if I've walked through tens of thousands of homes, and you could make an argument that I don't need a home inspection on the properties I buy because maybe I'm as good. I could probably become an inspector. Go take me through the classes. I'd be a good damn inspector.
I don't know about that.
Here we go. So, but the point is that if I'm getting them, everyone should get a home inspection. I really don't see a scenario, Terry.
Well,
I don't see a scenario where people are going to live in the home where they shouldn't get one.
You always get that as is.
Yeah.
But, the buyer's got to know what as is.
Yeah, you need to know what you're buying. Yeah, it's good to know what you're buying. So I think this 2008 moment, I'm somebody, we sit and talk, we just had lunch, and I always have this curious approach, and I'll ask the deep, dark questions. It wears you out. It wears other people out. But I'm always looking for ways to do things better, and that's the purpose of even the podcast and this conversation. I don't want people just to listen to me and others talk, but what can we learn from each other? What can we learn about good and bad? So like in these moments of, we'll go back to 2008 because that was tough in the housing crisis. And I'm always interested in this mindset about why keep going. And it's different at different times. Because so often in life, it's not always bad to quit. I've evolved. I don't think it's always bad to quit things. But you have to make an intelligent decision about when you do it and why. If the thing that you're doing is not going to get you what you want in your life, then quit. But if your effort is the thing that's lacking, and it's not the thing, so the issue is, it's like, hey, listen, are you just the person? I've met people, Terry. I have met people that they're going to have a struggle doing a certain career. They're just going to struggle being a real estate agent because it's about relationships that you spoke to. And there's certain people with their personalities, they just aren't good at human interaction and relationships. So there's an argument that maybe you shouldn't do this. So in the moment that you kept going, 2008, why keep going? Why'd you keep going? Because it was damn hard, right?
It was. But I enjoyed the home inspection business more than anything else I'd ever done. I enjoyed meeting the people. Think about the buyers you meet. They're in a great frame of mind. They're excited they just bought a house. I'm excited because they're excited we're going to inspect this house. I got to see all these different houses, meet all these different people. But the one thing that you said, you have to have the commitment to it. If it's just a job, then that's all it'll ever be, is just a job. If you're committed to this, doesn't have to be home inspection, it could be anything, but if you have the commitment, you'll make it work. You'll want it to work. You want it to work. You want it to work every day, all day, 24/7. It's exciting to you. What did I see? If you do a job, if you're doing a job that you love, you never have to work a day in your life.
But there's days we don't love it, all of us.
Well, I'm sure about that. There's agents that don't love me all the time.
Yeah, on those days in those days when the shit's hitting the fan, man.
Yeah.
We all have them. No matter what we do, we have them.
But even that's exciting.
Yeah, tell me why.
Well, after I became the manager, when no one else could think about how to get out of this or what to do for them, it came back to my shoulders. The challenge was there. Some of them were not good challenges, but they were there. And I took care of them. You know, I gave money back to people for a home inspection, even though we were right. But if we didn't say it right, we didn't write it right, we didn't convey it the way it should have been, then we weren't really right, were we? And you know, some of the hardest inspections you do are on older little bitty houses built around the turn of the century that didn't have a bathroom in them. They didn't have electric. They didn't have gas. And as a matter of fact, a lot of them didn't have a kitchen. That was scabbed on later on too. These houses didn't cost very much, and the agent wanted us to give them a good deal because it's such a small house. But what you don't realize, so many fingers had been in that pot. So many things had been added onto that little house that it was just a son of a gun to inspect. And you know what? You had to do a good job because the people buying that house, if there was something drastically wrong with it, they didn't have the wherewithal to repair it.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been on this idea that I'm drilling down into a lot recently about this balance in life, about selfishness and selflessness. We have a balance every day as humans. And that comes back to, like, do the right thing. And often in life, doing the right thing is selfless. Because doing the right thing, very often how we see it, I'm going to go back to this about inspections and selling homes. Because sometimes the right thing for an agent is to look at your client and say, don't buy this home. Sometimes that's the right thing.
To my point, the agent says, you cost me a deal here. But if they had the right rapport with their buyer, they're going to take that buyer right around the corner and buy something that they're better suited for.
So you're right, but let me go down this path. So I agree that me operating and running this company and as a realtor, I have this sense of right and wrong by clients that I really am founded in this thing that it's my job to do the right thing by the client to always have the best outcome for them. But here's the reality. Here's where I'm going to go to this place of real human behavior with agents at times. See, you got paid to do that inspection, right?
I'm a mercenary.
Okay, I'm just saying I'm going down a path here.
Yeah,
There's so
ahead.
many examples in other businesses that people have. That's why I want to have this conversation. You got paid to come out and do that inspection for that person then not to buy it. The agent didn't get paid. We don't get paid. All that work that we put in to get to that point, we didn't get paid. And your point is, well, you're going to get paid on the next one. Yeah, and you're going to get paid again on the next one.
I thought we just had this conversation a few
here's-
minutes back.
No, here's what I'm talking about. There's some challenge in life, too. This isn't saying that you're not doing the right thing. You are. But this is the point where an agent, you really have to make the decision to be selfless. Because you just went to work, showing all those properties, calling you, putting you on the inspection, sending it to the loan officer doing the loan. Everybody's doing their job. I'm not against it at all. You did the inspection, so you should get paid for it. But that agent really has to get deep down. They're doing the right thing is convincing somebody to do something that doesn't get them paid. That's all I'm saying. You're not doing a bad thing that you got paid for it. I'm just saying my job that I'm doing, I don't get paid for it. And so this isn't even defending agents. We're asking human beings in scenarios to say, do the right thing. And this is aside from you as an agent. Do the right thing and convince your client to do something that doesn't get you paid. And that's our job. That's what we're supposed to do, aside from everyone else, right? At some point we're going to. And I'm at this place of, it doesn't have to do with us, of in these moments where humans choose to do the right thing or not. And you've seen many times over the years that real estate agents try to keep people in deals when they shouldn't. And then there's times when they do the right job and they say, hey, don't buy this home, go find another one. I think there's this balance in all of our human lives, all of ours. Every day we face this decision to do the right thing or not. And that's aside from, this is how I'm a friend to you, how I am as an employer to other people. It's this fascinating place in life. I think there's this battle of right and wrong, do the right thing or not, and always searching for this thing as going through this human experience. What do we do? And I think it's a battle every day. We just happen to have the conversation around selling a home.
Yeah, but
right.
Doing the right thing has nothing to do with real estate.
Has to do with human stuff every day, human decisions every day.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Right? But in that decision, what has to happen is we have to go through this conscious thing for me to do my job right. Not you. That's different. You to do your job right to tell the people not to buy the house.
Oh, I never told them not to buy the house.
Okay, do the inspection properly.
They can make up their own mind there.
100%. And so the job for you is make sure you document it properly. If the roof's caving in, you got to put it down it's caving in. That's your job. I'm not you're sitting here looking at me like I'm disputing it. No. I'm just saying this is actually the difference of a human experience. We're asking human beings to do something that is to the benefit of others that goes against short-term what their best interest is. I'm saying as humans, that's tough because I think we're selfish inherently. I do. I think we're selfish and we think about ourselves.
Human nature.
Yeah. And that sucks.
Well, but this made me think of an example. Did a house over in Fort Thomas on the side of the hill over there. As I recollect, it was a cute little girl. So the house is cute from the outside. It's built on the downhill side. The front door faces up the hill. And as I go down the basement, the front of the house foundation is collapsing. They have 2x10s running from other 2x10s back against the back wall of the back of the house. And I says to the girl, and I probably only did this 3 times in my life in the inspection business. Can you afford to have a new foundation put on here? She's, oh no, she's real bubbly. She's, oh no. I says, doesn't this concern you that you have all these 2x10s holding up the front wall? Well, yeah, she says, but I just love the kitchen. And I thought, I have a responsibility here. You know, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead.
From the realtors.
From the realtors.
Yeah.
But the realtor knew this too.
100%. And here's what we have to get. So I want you to finish this, but here's what I'm saying. I'm actually saying that doing the right thing is the right thing. And I think the most real estate agents that I know do the right thing and look at their client after that bad inspection and say, hey, listen, that's a $10,000 or a $15,000 fix. If you don't have the money to fix this, this is coming. This is coming down the road here soon. Don't buy this home. But what I'm saying they do it. I'm making an argument here that even in the depths of the profession that I complain about, on all the people in my business that quietly I'm like, man, you're not doing it right. You actually have to have the right hat on every day when you get up and you represent clients, because there's so many situations that we're in. To do it the right way is to do it very selflessly.
And you're going to see it in your business a lot.
100%. It's challenging. And so as I'm sitting here, I've been working through it. I'm starting to give people more credit that don't even work for my company, that work for other companies, that I'm like, damn, You go to work every day, and you might not get paid. That's very rare for somebody to willing to go through that in this world. Your inspectors, when they showed up to do the inspection, they wouldn't have shown up if you didn't pay them.
Well, that was the one thing about being a home inspector.
But that's what I'm saying.
There was no accounts receivable.
Right.
And I wouldn't do inspections
Yep.
based upon being paid at closing.
Yeah.
That's a no.
Yeah. As I'm sitting here, I'm just figuring this business out, and so I think that. But the point is just this overall human experience about doing this right from wrong. And if we reflect on our lives, sometimes nobody wants to talk about this stuff. Sometimes it's really hard to do the right thing.
It's even harder when you don't do it, and in your mind's eye, you know you should have done it.
The lasting effect.
You know, being in business, I've made a lot of decisions. Most of them were good, but I made some bad ones. And for the most part, which I won't explain to you, by the way, for the most part, I lived with them, but I got a couple that gnaw at me, even now. I did want to bring up something. I got a call, go out in the Heatherlands here in Kentucky, and this little girl and her father and her father-in-law showed up. Cute little bungalow out there, and it's where the two father-in-law, which you always have to be concerned with when they show up on a job, by the way. They walked around the outside with me, and on the back, it was a stone foundation. The whole stone foundation had caved in. And one of the other men said to me, he says, "How much owe you for showing up?" I told him $125. He peeled off $125. I got in my car and left. About a week later, same little girl called up and says, "Mr. Yaeger," she says, "I got another house for you to look at." I said, "Okay." So it's down here in the holler down here. I go there, father-in-law show up. The chimney is being held up against the side of the house by a block and tackle that goes through a hole in the attic and is tied to one of the joists, one of the rafters. The oil burner on it has been modified so many times, having been in the heating business, even I couldn't figure it out. Father-in-law says to me, "How much owe you?" I said, $125. He peeled me out, $125, got my car. About 2 weeks later, the little girl called up, and now she says, "Terry," now we're on first name basis. She said, "I got another house for you to look at." I said, "Okay." So I go out there. Nice house. It really was a nice house. Got a little leak around the flashing around the chimney, but nothing special. So she bought the house, I'm sure. So several weeks later, "Mr. Yaeger?" I said, "Yes." I said, "This is Sophie's sister, and I want you to inspect the house for me." Now, that's a real compliment. That is truly a compliment that I did the right thing at the right time for Sophie, and now I'm going to do it for her sister. That's a good feeling. You know, you can tippy-toe around then. You say, I did okay.
So your argument about doing the right thing pays off long term.
Yes, and I want you to know something. I bet you it's not more. I remember those two that I told not to buy those houses, or maybe I didn't exactly say. The one with the foundation, I did say that. But the other ones, I just laid it out there in front of them in such a way that, you know, you can say things without saying things. Because that's not my job to tell them either to buy or not to buy. My job is to present the facts as I see best. But, you know, there's a lot of times I can word that so that you get a pretty damn good idea of what I'm trying to tell you.
You're pretty smart about those things. As I sit here and I'm listening, I reflect on all these conversations we've had for 15 years. Tell the story about when you remember meeting me.
You?
Yeah.
Well, I don't actually remember meeting you per se when you were with another company. Part of my job was presenting Wednesday morning things about home inspection, trying to get their business. And so later on, after you left that company, you and I had a conversation. You said, I remember you on Wednesday mornings. They're coming in. And I thought to myself, well, you must have not been too big a hot shot because I don't remember you from Adam. But the first time I went over, Allison told me there's a little company opening up. Go over there and see him. So I drove over there, knocked on a door. Nobody there. So I slipped a couple of brochures under the door, and I thought to myself, well, here's another little real estate company. They're going to come and go, and that'll take care of that. Don't want to give them too many brochures, just a waste of money. So then a while back after that, I went over there, opened the door. Door opened. There's people in there. They're breathing. And there was a little blonde girl on the front desk. I don't remember her name, but she was quite nice. And there was your brother and Roy.
You still have a very concise memory.
Well, about that, and I really did meet Mark Perkins one-on-one for the first time. I left there maybe with a new attitude because Mark Perkins had sold a lot of real estate for the other company, so maybe he could continue on. Maybe. After that, I remember going right across the street to a Chinese restaurant. So from that point on, you and I have had this conversation or had this relationship. I've enjoyed being a part of, and I mean that as small as it is, being a part of the rise of Pivot Realty. I remember helping put together the Cincinnati office. Mm-hmm. Oh, I remember going to the first Cincinnati office that you rented.
Yeah.
And I went with you and we rented that
Office
space.
Suites place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one there in Westchester.
Yeah.
Which is still there.
Yeah.
And we've had these big conversations. The conversations we have are very intuitive from the standpoint you have a way of making people think and bringing out, just like today, these quips and stories that I have over my 83 years in business. And I probably would have still been in business. I waited till I was almost 80 to retire. I'd had some serious back issues. My wife had some health issues. And I enjoyed the home inspection. I've enjoyed it that much that I probably would not have retired. Allison had worked with me for about 7 years. Allison has a degree in music. Now, she went to work for Wright State University in the music department, and they gave her a title that was about that long. And they gave her a salary that was about that long.
They didn't match.
That it didn't match. And her husband, Mike, is a graduate engineer from Ohio State in welding. Now, he went to work after he graduated. He went to work for General Electric. And he also went to New Orleans and built fuel tanks for the shuttle. Now, being a welding engineer doesn't mean you do the welding. It means that you engineer the thing. Well, I think he got to it. He didn't like that, but he was working for me part-time. And like myself, he really liked the home inspection business. And, Mike is probably the finest home inspector that I have ever met. He's got that engineering attitude. He's a smart guy. He's only 3 hours away from having a degree in math besides, but he's a smart guy. Mike Schray started working for me when he was in high school. And so those two make a good pair and make an excellent home inspection company.
So what about, because I always find good ways to jump around here. Here's what I've always looked at you and Jane as. There's a lot that we can take away and we can learn. I've always said that you guys have 4 daughters. I've met them all. I don't know them all that well. I know Allison well, Allison and Mike. But you just shared with me, we went to lunch, and I said, hey, didn't you have waffles for the grandkids yesterday? And you said, yeah. And I saw the picture that Allison had posted on social media. And every time I see a picture of your family, the girls, them and their significant others' husbands, you and Jane, you around the grandkids, it is evident that you've done some things right.
Thank you.
On raising your 4 daughters. And so often in life, I don't need to know the stories behind it when I see a group of kids just doing bad stuff and screwing up life and not doing what they should to be good citizens. But you see groups of your daughters that you see that have gone out and made really positive impacts and additions on the world, doing it right and raising good kids. What's the equation there?
Jane, my wife Jane. No, Jane and I have respect for each other, and we show that up to our children. I've never, and Jane hasn't either, talked down to each other, if at all, period, but never in front of the children. We show only respect for each other. 4 daughters is exciting. 4 daughters, 4 weddings, 4 colleges. That's exciting. I could have retired. I could have retired a long time ago.
All right, so you just said it. You just said 4 daughters, 4 weddings, or 4 college degrees.
Yeah.
4 weddings.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have the bad egg. Do you know so often we say, well, every family's got one. I'm just telling you, you don't.
And we're blessed. We're blessed there. Jay and I often thought if we could have just bottled whatever the hell that was.
So you don't, you can't describe.
No, I can remember coming home. We had 2 bedrooms on the first floor, 2 bedrooms and a bath on the second floor. And I'd come home and Jane say, you go upstairs and get those girls squared away. And I'd get to the bottom of the steps, and all I could hear was, I said, I ain't going up there. No. Get my eyes scratched out. Nope, not going to do that. But then they brought home nice boys to marry. And that was important. And someone said to me, those are nice son-in-laws. I said, I didn't expect the girls to bring anything else but that home.
See, there you go. You didn't expect them to bring anything home. Did you share that expectation with them when they were growing up?
All the time.
Okay, so you can't say it was just a happenstance here.
Well, we don't know that we were doing something special. We were just doing.
But through reflection, if you had to teach the class, because what I always say to parents and my friends when it's like, man, I got these struggles going with my kids, I'm like, yeah, man, they don't come with manuals, do they? Okay, yours didn't either. But you figured it out.
But Jane and I always respected each other, and the children saw that too. Now, well, the girls in college, and we'll forget that poor Denise was the guinea pig she's the oldest, was the guinea pig. Tracy came along next, and then 15 years later we had 2 more. By the time the last 2 came along, hell, I was babysitting them and changing diapers. I was a new guy. But Denise called from college, said, Daddy, tell her mother, I want to come home. It's so hard. It's so hard. So I said, give me the phone. So I got on the phone. I said, what do you mean you want to come home? Did you think it was going to be easy? Did you think you were going to go up there and skate through this? If it were that easy, everybody'd have a college education. Now you just buckle down, young lady, and let's get on with this. And they did. And they did. And so, oh, by the way, she's a real estate agent, so there you go.
She competes with us, I know.
Uh,
You know, it is what it is. But they all have, as I hear these stories, they've made more good decisions in their life than bad.
Absolutely, but I want to get back to the pancake or the waffles. The whole deal behind the waffles were when they grandchildren were little, we'd have them over for Grandpa's awful waffles. So I told them these waffles were from my own secret recipe. And then later on when they could read, the one little girl says, but that says Aunt Jemima. I said, of course it does, but who do you think told Aunt Jemima what the recipe was? So I got around that. So although we had 6 grandchildren, Jay and I, Sunday, I got to get a waffle maker that makes more than one damn waffle at a time.
I thought you were talking about how much time you have on your hands now, though, being retired.
I know, but standing up there making one waffle, hell, they were eating them faster than I could make them.
Did you get to have any waffles?
I did.
Were they good?
Damn right. Grandpa knows how to do that.
What mixture was already being poured out of a box?
The one for awful waffles.
So what do you think, what's the spice of life from here on out?
I'm disappointed with retirement. Now, of course, I've never been retired before. And if I felt better, and if my wife wasn't sick, I would volunteer to do something. To get up every morning, make the coffee, make a little breakfast for my wife before she takes her pills, and sit down and watch Fox News. Is that the best you're going to do today? If it wasn't for going to the doctor, which we seem to go, we were there yesterday, changed there again today, Thursday, got some more Thursday. Being retired is not all what it's cracked up to be. So anybody listening to this, don't rush into it. I worked 6 days a week all my life because I wanted to. And so when I retired, what do you do next? Take care of Jane, of course. I used to play golf. My back hurts, so I can't do it anymore.
Well, you weren't any good at it anyway.
Well, I finished.
Is that one of the answers in life?
It is for
You don't
me.
need to worry about being good, just finish?
Well, no. I always tried to be better. I tried to be a better golfer. It wasn't in the cards. But as my back kept hurting, I went from shooting in the 80s to the 90s. And a couple years ago, when it was really bad, and if I sunk a putt, I go, damn, I got to bend over and pick that up. Then by that time, I was shooting right around 100. So now I have a morphine pump in my tummy that goes around to my back. It drips morphine on this here. And actually, the VA sent me a 2 nasal things that if I get overloaded on morphine or something, that you can shoot them in my nasal passage and keep me from going to Never Never Land.
So what can you share? It's always better to listen to somebody who's come before and not doing it anymore. So I'd like to hear from you about what's it take to be a good employee. Because here's why I think it's credible for you, the person, to share that with us. Because you don't have employees anymore that you're yelling at, screaming to, telling them what to do in a condescending. Like, you can really reflect on running all the businesses you've run. And anybody who's an employee, what's it take to be a really good employee? What's it take to succeed in that role?
The first thing that happens, you got to be on time. No matter what it is you're doing, you got to be on time. If you're not on time, everything else is downhill. You got to be on time. I think I told you today, I get up in the morning, I'm just full of it. I'm ready to go. It's a good morning. I'm going to have a great day. If you show up on your job the same way. I had this one guy working for me, and we would go out and add on air conditioners in. And I'd give the guys their paperwork. I had like 5 crews. And I'd give it to Jimmy every time, and Jim said, I don't think I can get this done. I said, Jim, what do you mean you can't get it done? You don't even know what it is yet. You're not even out on the job. Well, I don't know if I get it done. Hell, that puts everybody in a bad mood.
So that's speaking to an attitude.
Attitude's everything.
Why? Why is that?
Oh, if you have a good attitude, everybody around you has got a good attitude. Everybody wants to be your buddy. Everybody will give you the benefit of the doubt if you got a good attitude. I think I told you today, one of the guys that was an inspector for me that left, and I treated him just like the son I never had. You know, and all these employees I've had, I don't know if I've had 100, but a lot. You know, I bought them cars, refrigerators, lent them money, bailed them out of jail, went to court with them, put up with their wives. But if a guy has a good attitude, you'd be surprised what I could do for him. If you have a good attitude and you're a salesman, and you show up someplace, whether it's selling real estate, light fixtures, or air conditioners, if you show up there with a good attitude, the people sense that. I just had a piece of property go off listing on a Friday.
In Florida.
And Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, between 8 and 10, because I called you and told you that, I had 3 agents call me to get that listing. Over the phone, they were a pleasure to talk to. Believe it or not, they were a real pleasure to talk to. They were bubbly, you know, and I should probably have...
you should have muted your phone before we started.
Yeah, I should have done that.
Is that what you should have done? Hey, that's a hell of a ringer tone, though. You know, I don't know who's trying to call you, but...
I don't either.
Hit end on the damn thing. How about that?
There you go.
You know what? That shows how important you are. You can get away with it, and I still love you. So 3 agents. So your property came off listing, and 3 agents through the marketing systems that we pay for and have, they found your contact info the morning that it came off listing.
Yes.
3. And you're speaking to their attitude.
Attitude. And they were bubbly. They knew my first name. Of course, I guess it's on.
It is. We can find it all. Yep.
Hey, Terry, how are you, Terry? This is Jeff down here in Clearwater. Hey, I see your listing just came down. I would really like to represent you. And I called you. I says, that's what you need to do.
What did I say, too? So I don't know these people, right? What did I say? I instantly said,
go for it.
You should hire one of them.
Yeah.
Your daughter already had a referral, somebody through her network. But I even made an argument to you. Like, I know that you're going to let her make the decision because she's in the real estate business on who to go with. But I said, Terry, the right thing to do, I don't care who listens, the right thing to do is to hire one of those 3.
Well, you understand letting your daughter make a decision. With 4 daughters, personally, I've never been able to make a decision anyways.
But why did I say that? From what I know about, why did I say it? Like you
because
should hire
they're
one
out there hustling.
And damn straight, that's what's
now,
going on.
Let me explain this to you, and let me move this around a little bit. I'm going to get excited now.
Yeah.
In the real estate business, like many other businesses, in the real estate business, nothing happens until something is sold. Now think about that, Mr. and Mrs. Real Estate Agent. All the rest of us are waiting in the wings. The mortgage company, home inspection, title company, termite inspectors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
People who want to sell the home, people who want to buy the home.
That's right. We're all waiting for you to come home with a contract. And when you do, the ball starts to roll. So nothing happens until something is sold. So in order for it to be sold, you got to be one of those 3 that called me Saturday morning. at 8 o'clock, wanting to get my listing. They're out there hustling. Remember what I said? My office has always been in my house. I have an office, a built office. It's built to be an office. It would have been easy to go out and cut the grass, wash the car, go for a ride, go to Costco. But instead, I said I work 6 days a week. But on Sunday, walking past that door to the office, if I thought of something, guess what? I'm working Sunday too. If I know what I got to do on Monday needs to be taken care of on Sunday, I'm doing that. Real estate agents, from my perspective, they're all independent contractors. I don't know that. I don't say that with any positivity. But if you're going to be a real estate agent, you need to get out there and hustle. You need to make that call Saturday morning just like those three did.
You know what's funny? Okay. All realtors are independent contractors. But we make an argument. Every human being's an independent contractor, whether you're an employee or a 1099.
But of course.
Right? Because you're going to get what you give. You're going to get in return the level of attitude you bring that day.
And if you don't give and you're an employee, you won't be an employee long.
Absolutely not. That's why you're an independent contractor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you become, and that's why I asked the question about employee. I have so many people, and I'm not speaking, I love the company I've built, the people that are here. You know, it's a hell of a competitive industry for us to continue to grow this. But my people are my family. I don't have any kids, right? This company and the people that work here, they're my family. They're special. But over the years, I've seen a lot of people in all sorts of different types and levels of employment. And I'm always watching them. You know that's about me. Mm-hmm. Whether they're working in a company I'm running, whether they were a coworker, whether they're working from your business, I'm evaluating everything. And not one time, me in the role of being a business owner, did I decide who gets the next opportunity. I just observed who deserves it. I never made the decision.
They did.
Damn straight they did. Every single person in this world, whether you're a nurse, you're working at a fast food joint, you're changing oil, you're a top salesperson, you're a financial advisor, you're a janitor somewhere, you're a teacher, you're something. Whoever gets that next promotion and that next pay raise, on the vast majority of the situations, you earned it, and if you're a person who didn't achieve it, you didn't earn it through two things. Attitude, whether good or bad, or effort and work ethic, good or bad. And the people who own that shit are the ones that live better lives, and the ones who didn't take care of their responsibility and didn't do it better, they earned their suck-ass life. And I have seen this repeated time after time after time after time.
Okay, I can talk to home inspections and air conditioning.
And lighting.
And lighting. But I think I can talk to it also to the real estate industry because I, too, observe.
Absolutely.
And attitude, if you got an attitude that's bad, it's bad. It's like corrosion. It's going to eat away at you. Commitment. If you want to be a real estate agent, be a real estate agent. I know that my daughter works darn hard at being a real estate agent. I know that they're out doing listings Sundays, Saturdays, blah, 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 blah. You know, my statement was, remember, if you list, you last. If you don't, you won't. Because if you're the listing agent, you've got thousands of other agents working for you to bring these people into you so you get the sale.
But isn't that the argument about every position, every job in this entire country? If we really dig into it, the only way somebody becomes the head janitor is by being what?
The best janitor.
Damn straight. And being the head janitor is way better than being an inline janitor?
Commitment. Take responsibility. The head janitor's got responsibilities that the low janitor doesn't have.
Commitment,
Commitment.
work ethic, loyalty to the job. Because also what they
Attitude.
didn't, all of it. Because also what they didn't do is they're not always waiting for the next quarter to be put in their pocket by some competitor. That really pisses me off, Terry. I'm telling at some point in my life, if I get to have a good full life, I'm not going to own and operate this company. At some point, that's going to happen. And so I'm gonna look back and I'm going to relive this experience through all my thoughts. And there's nothing that pisses me off more running a business than seeing other people disloyal to even other businesses. I have this fundamental belief, and I'm going to start yelling and shouting it from the hills. I don't think it's very often that realtors should even change companies. I don't think they should leave their company and come to mine. I don't think mine should leave and go to theirs. I don't think home inspectors should go from one inspection company to the other. You know what you need to do? You need to go all in and be great there. Because there's something about that business that gave you an opportunity. That business gave you an opportunity for a job, to earn the pay that you receive, to earn the positions. Because here's what's fascinating. Come up with any real estate brand, any brand of my competitors. Every one of those brands has successful agents. Every one of them. Mine does, and all of those. Those people that leave a real estate company thinking the next one's going to do something for them. I heard an amazing statement yesterday, Tara. This was awesome. One of my agents spoke up in a sales meeting and said, "Mark, you know what they don't understand? You got to take yourself with you." And I just went, wow, I don't think I've ever said anything as good myself. What that's saying is you need to take a deep dive inside of who you are. Some self-awareness, some emotional intelligence. And if there's somebody around you in your job that's making the money you want to make, if there's someone that's in the position that you want to be in, then be better than them. Earn it. Have a better attitude. Do more. Come in early. Don't just be there on time. Come in early. We've heard it time and time again. Stay late. Make impacts in people's lives. Go the extra mile to develop your skills so you're not just proficient, that you become a master, that you're trying to get better tomorrow than you did today. And I know this without a doubt. This is a guarantee. Even if your boss is an asshole, even if that's the case, if you end up being a great employee, they have no option but to give you a raise because you're benefiting their business. It's so simple, and yet so many people think they don't understand it and know the unlock. That's a rant from me, but I'm telling it just pisses me off when I see people saying, well, I'm going to change something. It's like your daughter that called you and said she wanted to come home. What you knew about life was, no, you need to stay there and see this thing out. There's no coming home to the local university. You made a decision, and you're dealing with some adversity now, and you need to find the resilience and the persistence inside you to see this thing through. Because what they don't know, that you know, if you stick this out, you're going to become a better person.
If you ask them that now, they'll totally agree with you. But at the time, woe is me, I'm going home to mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's hard here.
So without being negative on today's world, because I'm very positive on what I can go out and achieve, and I see a lot of great people around me doing a lot of great things. But I don't care. You know, everybody's like, oh, everybody's getting second and third place trophies. Yeah, that's a fact. Okay, I don't care. Whatever. Give them a 10th place trophy. I don't know what balance, and maybe you can speak to this because you're a generation or two ahead.
Watch out now.
I didn't say 3. I'm better because of the adversity I faced in life.
Oh, sure. That tempers the seal. That tempers you. By the way, the people that left, that they thought that the grass was green on the other side, that's only because the septic tank wasn't working right. That's a home inspector's.
You know what I think another analogy, just to be really honest and real, is the majority of the time, the reason why the grass browns up a little bit on your side is because you weren't watering it. You weren't watering it.
That's right.
Right? And when you go over to that next pasture,
You weren't doing your job.
Damn straight. And when you go over to the next pasture that looks green, someone else was taking care of that and manicuring it and setting it up for you. The same thing that somebody did for the opportunity you found yourself in now, and you didn't water the grass, is shit turned brown, and you're going to go over there and do the same damn thing if you don't change who you are.
And if you don't water it, that'll turn brown too.
Absolutely. It's fascinating. And so just since adversity, since I know I'm better because of my adversity, and I'm better because of the failures, I don't want failure. It freaking sucks and hurts. But when I face it and overcome it, I sure am a better person to deal with it the next time. Every single time. So I asked you earlier in lunch, I said, hey, when you were coming up, did you guys talk about things like self-awareness, emotional intelligence, mindset, fixed or growth mindset? I asked you about it. What'd you say?
No.
Yeah, get on that mic.
No, we didn't. Things have changed a lot.
Let's talk about change without saying it's just negative. Let's talk about change. Things have changed in this world.
Well, I'm not too sure that things have changed all much for the better right now. I'm not happy with our country, and yet it's been very good to me. Why has it been good? Because I worked my bucket off. I didn't just take a check from the man. When times were bad, I went out there and really hustled. And I say that, I'm not bragging. We're just talking about facts.
It shouldn't be a bad thing. See, as you're sitting there, aren't you processing the current world we're in? It's like, you know what? Hustling and earning what you received in life. How's that a bad thing?
It's not. And you know what? Being in business for yourself, and I'm talking about real estate agents, they're in business for themselves.
Just not by themselves.
Not by themselves, but for themselves.
Yeah.
I don't have a college education. I went to the College of Hard Knocks. But I worked hard enough and made enough to put 4 girls through college, 4 big weddings. Always had to laugh. The first one got married. The following year, the second one said, I'm going to get married, and I want everything she had plus, when they had their 25th anniversary, I told them, I said, well, next year I'll have your wedding paid for. Just kidding around with them. But Jay and I have reaped the harvest of working hard. There's not much I would change. I'd like to take 20 years off, but there's not much I would change. So, along those lines, being in business is a great thing. Being an independent contractor is a good thing. But you got to be there. You got to be there for it. It's not a part-time job. It's a full-time plus job. And you got to be there for it. And you got to be there for your customers. And if your customer wants to see you, whatever time, date it is, that's where you are. I like being an independent businessman, an entrepreneur. I spoke for a college class one time many years ago about being an entrepreneur. I forgot exactly what I said, but probably a lot of what I just said.
What's it take to be a good business owner?
Same thing it takes to be a good business person. A good, attitude. Commitment. Commitment says you're going to be there when the customer's there. Commitment says when the times are tough, you got to get up there. You got to lift up your bootstraps, get the hell going. Don't tell me how bad it is. It's bad for everybody, but I'll make it worse for some other people because, quite frankly, I want to take their business from them. Let them scream and holler and cry. I'm too busy for that. I'm out there. I'm doing that. I want to be the guy that has the listing. I'm not kidding you. I want to be the best home inspector. And quite frankly, by and large, I thought I was. And if I wasn't sometimes, then I need to work a little harder to be there.
Was all the sacrifice, you said you wouldn't have done many things different. As people listen to this, they're evaluating their life. If we get a half a person to listen to it, they're evaluating their life. Are they happy being an employee? Are they happy the career that they're in? Are they happy the decisions they've made of being a business owner? You see, you wouldn't change much of it.
No, but Mike Schrey's a good indicator there. He has a degree in welding, engineering. Didn't like that. But he was working part-time as a home inspector. He liked that. So he's been a home inspector for, 20 years. Makes great money. Best home inspector I know. If this is not what you want to do, don't do it. Don't waste your time. Life's too short. Go do what you want to do if you can make a living at it. A lot of people say, well, I want to do it. That's impossible. You can't make a living doing that. So go get it done. I did exactly what I wanted. I say exactly. Sometimes the opportunity presented itself. I wasn't out looking for it. The opportunity to get the franchise for Pillar to Post, I wasn't looking for it. I had worked for the Pillar to Post franchise in Cincinnati for years, part-time. I was retired, remember? I was 55 years old and retired. That was kind of boring, too. I still had my health, and I was really bored. But the opportunity presented itself. You got to make yourself available to see the opportunity when it does make itself available. Many times, it slides right past you, and you never saw it. I'm sure there's many of them that slid right past me. I didn't notice them. I didn't want to notice them, whatever. But the one I did, Pillar to Post was the best thing I ever did. The very best. It's a good company. The corporate company. The corporation, they're headquartered in Mississauga, Ontario. It's a good company. And they strive to give all their home inspectors, you have to go to school there, by the way. You just can't say, last week I was a home inspector or not a home inspector. This week I are one. You have to, they're not going to just set you out there. And all the inspectors that worked for me, some went to Mississauga, others I trained. And someone says, are they a pretty good home inspector? You're damn right. I trained them. I wouldn't have them if they weren't a good home inspector. I wouldn't put my reputation on the line by taking some jackleg out there and say, you're a home inspector. The ones I did that to, I found out pretty damn quick. And they were looking in from the outside, wondering what the hell happened to them. The other thing is, you got to be truthful. You have got to be truthful. If you're going to lie to me, your boss, the owner, nobody can trust you then. You're not worth two dead flies. The whole thing is quality of inspection, respecting the people that you're doing the inspection for, being truthful, and doing what's right. You said that many times. You got to do what's right.
How do we know what's right?
You know what's right. Deep in your heart, you know what's right. Nobody has to tell you what's right. You know what's right. That's God-given. And I rest my case.
Well, there's many cases that you can rest. I mean, I always enjoy the conversations with you because what people know about me is I don't back away from talking about anything. Anything.
Yeah, and I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Let's go. Let's talk about it. What do I need to do to be better? See, there's nothing in life I'm not willing to talk about in front of whoever. What do I need to do to be better, to improve?
Well, for one thing, God forbid that you should put any more hours in. I admire that. Sometimes it's to a fault.
Why is it to a fault?
Just too much. You need to refresh yourself sometimes. If this goes out to your agents, dropping the F-bomb during the monthly meeting, that's got to stop.
There's some things you don't like about me.
Well, that's one of them. That's one of them.
You still decide to hang out with me?
Yeah, I can hang out with you. You're all right. This is my boy.
So you think, I don't agree with working less.
I know you don't.
Yeah.
But that's what you do. That's your thing. That really is your thing.
Where you come from where I came from. And you're going where I'm going.
I think we can all say that.
You don't rest.
No, I think we can all say that. Where'd you come from? Who cares?
There you go.
Where are you going? If it's good, I want to be there. I've enjoyed being a part. I think I told you this. I've enjoyed being a part of Pivot Realty.
Yeah.
I mean, really enjoyed it.
You've seen every part of it.
I've lived it. I've
and I hope we
been
have
compensated well because of it.
Yeah, we've sent you a lot of referrals.
Oh, tons of referrals.
I hope we're just writing the first chapter, even though it's been a long 15 years for me. You know, all these hours. To your point, I don't think anybody could honestly work more hours than I've worked.
Well, I don't either. But then sometimes I worry about your health.
Well, of course.
I mean, you're
don't you every time that you do something, you give something else up. Anytime. If I decided to work less, I'd give up more success.
Well, I think you're going to find a time when you're successful enough that maybe you can slide back a little bit.
When's that?
I don't know. In your case, I don't know, but delegate some responsibility. Oh, my goodness, everybody's after me. I'm very popular now. I'm trying to make an appointment with my wife to have her tooth pulled.
So about this idea, I'm at a place in life more where I guess you just get here with age and experience, where I don't want to be wrong, but I'm open-minded and willing to be wrong about things. I'm willing to hear it more. I don't know if I listen, but I'm willing to hear it more, which helps. And so I just, Tara, but I know that if I wouldn't have worked this much, I also wouldn't have built this thing to the point where it is right now.
Oh, that goes unsaid. No, that goes unsaid. I mean, I've been here at night with you. I've been here in the mornings. I've been here on Sundays, and before we had this building here, I mean, I've seen all of this, and I can admire that. But while you're young, and you still are relatively young, you got more hair than I got, though.
Not in the back.
Well, I ain't got so much. Whatever.
So you really think people should work less? I'm willing.
No, not less. Most people don't work the hours that you work.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that does.
So what I'm saying is that most of them that are here.
Well, I work so much they don't have to, Terry.
Oh. Some of them don't have to work anymore. They just have to work smarter.
Okay.
Go out there and get it. Go out there and turn the rock over. Go out there and do that cold call. Go up there and knock on the door. I did that. So that, be proud. There are people in this organization that make a hell of a lot of money.
More than me.
They got a good thing going. There's some here that aren't making hardly anything.
But could.
They have the opportunity.
So what have we done right? I'm not the one who wants to say it because it's right and wrong. What have we done right that we need to continue doing?
Well, no, you've given them the opportunity. You've given them the training. It's the same thing with a home inspection. Here's the opportunity. Here's the training. Now go out and do it. One of the guys that quit me over the years was a fantastic home inspector, but he's a lousy business manager. You know, he saw me with 4 inspectors making money. Cincinnati has 13 home inspectors. Dayton has 8 home inspectors, 8, 13, 21, 25. You know, that our family is maybe the biggest, or if not in the top 10 home inspection companies in the United States. But we all have that common ground that says, here's the opportunity, Mr. Home Inspector or real estate agent. Here's what has to be done. We're going to go to school now. You go to school, you learn how to do this. You get a real estate license. You get a home inspector's license. I can take you out with me for a while. But at some time, I got to cut the umbilical cord, and you got to go for yourself. What part of this don't you understand? It's not rocket science. What part don't you understand? What door is it that you don't want to knock on? What listing is it that just went offline that you can call on Saturday morning? I was really impressed with that.
No, those are people that you should have hired. I told you that.
Yeah.
And I said if the condo expires again in Florida, if for some reason it does, my advice being a broker, knowing what I know about the behavior of those 3 people, they've got hustle and grind. And if you hire one of them, they're going to see it through.
Yeah.
That's who you should hire. Because, I'm going to be honest, it shouldn't have expired for 6 months. And what I know about all those things, we're not even going to say, I don't even know the person, it doesn't matter. That person should have been on the phone with you. I've learned this through my own failure, through how I train other agents on how to be. That agent should have been on the phone with you weekly, who had it listed for 6 months. And I guarantee that didn't happen.
Well, I got to tell you something. That listing, when a listing stays that long, there's 2 things could be wrong with it. It's overpriced or there's something wrong with the building.
Yeah. And so guess what, though? That agent needs to be on the phone with you weekly having discussions about both those things.
And every time I talk to her, it's priced right. It was him that I bought it from, her husband. Mm-hmm. Now, I've never met her, but she apparently does the listings, and he takes care of. I don't know how that works. I'm sorry.
People design it all sorts of different ways. But this is just this idea about customer service. I've never seen a problem over the years, all the hundreds and hundreds of homes I personally sold. Like, I'm just trying to be humble about life all the way. There's a lot of people that really love the job I've done for them, but there's a few that haven't.
Well,
it's just how you learn, right? But I know that in those situations of the people, of the very few where the transaction didn't go the way they wanted it to, it was on me. I could have changed that outcome. I could have made an extra call. I could have engaged with them differently. I could have been more professional. I could have cared more. I could have not been so busy that I passed on giving them the level of service I should have. It doesn't matter how much I care. Sometimes some things slip through the cracks. And through those failures, that's where you are. And so what I know is, if that agent that had your condo listed, if they would have been on the phone with you consistently every week communicating at a very high level, you would have given them the price reductions that they needed, and you would have relisted.
If they'd have been on the phone with me instead of me having to call them.
Yep. They would have it until it sells.
Because had I not called them,
yep,
I'd have never heard from them.
Yeah, there's something about...
By the way, that's my fault.
Okay, I love it because I have learned that if we all take responsibility, it's better, right? You can say it's your fault, but what I know about the real estate agent is it's their fault.
Well, maybe I should have picked a better real estate agent.
Yeah.
Well, whose fault is that?
Well, that's yours.
There we go.
Right. But if they're going to raise their hand and they're going to say, I choose to be in this business, I have an issue with people that aren't trying to be great every day. And there's people that debate that with me, this word great. But I have a huge problem. I don't care how many homes you decide to sell or how many inspections you decide to do. I don't care how many gallons of gas you decide to pump. I don't care how many burgers you want to flip and sell. But every single one of them that comes off that griddle, every gallon of gas that goes in that car, every home that gets sold and inspected, that person that's taking care of the customer, you better strive for greatness. I am not okay when we fall short of it. And the only way you can get to great is if you strive for it.
And it's expected of you. I expect it. You know, I expect it out of myself. You know, my biggest critic is me.
You remember that real estate transaction we had years ago before your daughter was in the business? That was tough.
Is that the one with the termites?
No. Man, that's a whole nother story. I'm saying the one that I sold for you and helped you buy.
Oh, yes.
Right. We don't need to go into all details, but those were a couple really tough transactions.
And you were one of the few that could take care of that.
And you said that.
Yeah.
Right? So why did you mean that? See, this is what I want to transfer to other people.
Well, because it was difficult. You had to have experience. You had to know. I had to laugh. It was, for anybody that's interested, the condo that I bought, Mark and I agreed on how much we would offer for it. Now, the condo then was about 300 yards from where I was living.
From the one we were selling.
From the one we were selling. So that 300 yards, Mark lowered our offer by $17,000 in 300 yards. And the guy was tickled to death. He tickled to death to get it. You know? So in order to compensate Mark there, I did buy him lunch that time.
I think you did.
Yeah.
You did. But what? So I remember you telling me in that moment, there's not many people that you knew, and you knew all the realtors. You said, there's not many people that I know that could have handled this process.
Well, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
So what do all of us need to know about that? What does everybody who's a teacher need to know about that? What do we need to know about it on this podcast as we try to get better all the time? What do all of our agents need to know? What do we need to know about that? Why is that a fact? Because I'm not the only one. There's other people that achieve levels of, I'm not ever going to call myself great, but a level of mastery inside their work.
First of all, you have to have the experience. You have had to be there before. You have to know the people. You knew the person that we were buying that from. You could see right through him. As I recollect, he already had another house.
I found that out. Mm-hmm.
All right? Mm-hmm. So our position was strong.
Yeah, we had leverage on him. Yeah. But how did I get to that point? Somebody had to hire me first.
Well, of course. I did. And you even had to make a special sign.
Yeah.
Because where I lived, they have to have a
cost me $400.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, see, the first day I started when I received a real estate license, I obviously wasn't that good. What can even give me the confidence to get started, though? Why'd somebody hire me?
Well, now you say you weren't that good, but you had all the traits that go into being there. You knew people. You're glib. Now you just got out of school. You know something about the real estate business. You're dedicated to it. And guess what else? You want to do it. You want to be great. You weren't then, but later on, you want to be great. Now, you weren't so great that I remembered you at the other real estate company, but
that didn't matter, did it? Because I continued working until sometime you recognized me.
That's right. And that's what everybody should take away from this podcast. You're not great when you first start off. You don't have the experience. But the only way to get the experience is to go out there and hustle. Go out there and get your feet wet. Go out there and get your nose slammed a little bit, your foot in the door. Go out there and have them tell you how little they think of you until you get that experience. But you're not going to get it sitting at home. Oh, woe is me. Honey, we can't make the bills this month. I didn't sell anything, or Why not? Because you didn't do anything. You know, I sat through some of these seminars you had where you hired the guy to come in. Remember, we went out and had dinner with him later on. I've never been to one of these seminars that I haven't walked away with something. Something. Same thing in the air conditioning, but I just went to this one, this is a long time ago. They had two-way radios. Oh, my God. Two-way radios. Do you know what that did for the service business? Hell, we were in business like nobody's business. Two-way radios.
You could do a lot more transactions. You could do a lot.
But we
more
got
stuff.
something out of that seminar.
So what's this?
Now, after you got it, go out and do it.
See, I think this is a struggle a lot of people have. They want to continue sitting in class until they're great, and that's just not possible. Let somebody tell you what to do. All education is somebody telling you what to do. That's all they're trying to do. Nobody wants to. You sit in class, you go through a certification, you take a test. So you go to class so they can tell you what to do. You take the test to prove that you earned it. At that moment, go do it, because you're never going to be great sitting in a chair in a classroom.
Go forth, my child. Go forth.
Oh, there we go. So how do we overall, how do we live our best life?
Well, Jane and I have had this conversation.
So have it with us.
And we're in a good spot to have it. There's much that I would change. There's not much at all. We've done pretty well. Jane stayed home. Now, just a statement, and raised the girls while I went out and worked. A little different situation today, and it's different with my daughters too. That's a big factor. The kids always had somebody to come home to. You ask about how do
you live a best life? How do you live your best life? So, I talked about how'd you end up with 4 awesome kids. You think a part of it's because there was somebody there with them.
You bet.
Yeah. So you guys, you feel overall you've done it well. So I said, how do we live our best life? You said you wouldn't change much. There's a thing called the butterfly effect. You change one thing, it all changes. Right? So we can't go back and change.
Unintended consequences.
Yeah. So you wouldn't change much, but how do we? I'm sitting here at 44, so tell me, you're actually talking to me. How do I live the best rest of my life?
I hadn't started leading my best life at 44. I was still hustling at 44. I think I started leading my best life, not talking personally now, I'm talking business now, when I started doing home inspections.
60 years old.
But I'd had all this experience beforehand.
So you knew how to do it better.
That I carried over with me. But the home inspection business is damn near a profession by itself, a real noticed profession. Now, do we have bad home inspectors? Of course. There's bad dentists and there's bad everything else. Do home inspectors make mistakes? You betcha. We're in that house for 2.5, 3 hours. The people move in. 6 months later, they discover something. They want to know why I didn't find it. It's a visual inspection. But it's a good business. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed working with realtors. And they enjoyed working with me and my company.
Why are you gonna tell me earlier though that you think I need to work less when you were still hustling and grinding at my age, and you didn't start living your best life till 60?
Yeah, but I wasn't working 70 hours a week.
I don't work 70 either.
Well, you did.
No.
80.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, at 60. And you got another 16 years ago.
Hopefully I get there.
Well, hopefully you will.
Yeah.
But at that point, you will have taken this basket full of experience and start living the life that you should lead as being a true leader of one of the biggest home inspection companies in the greater Cincinnati area. And you can do that and not put 80 hours in. Oh, hell, cut back to 70. What the hell? But you had to take that experience. You got another 14 years worth of experience.
16.
Did I do that right? 16 hours.
You're
16.
Yeah.
16 years.
Tell me what else we need to do better.
Well, I'm amazed every time I come here. You know, I've been away now for 3 years. I don't know what the other real estate companies are doing. They're doing, so they must be doing something. You're making all the efforts to hire new realtors and give them the opportunity and blend them, and don't bring in old realtors because they have all their bad old habits. They come in and want to share with everybody else. You know, you and I can go through the ones at Pivot Realty that they just brought bad habits with them, and they wondered why you didn't let them continue on.
Bad habits and bad attitudes, baby. That will get you
out
the door really quick, whether you choose to or I choose to.
Well, every time I had to fire somebody, they knew it was coming. The whole atmosphere was bad.
They fired themselves.
Sure they did. It kept going and going. And when I kept hearing a person's name time after time after time, you got to know that this needs to be taken care of. And it needs to be taken care of because guess what? The longer you let it go, the actual worse it gets. You know, the guy would come in to me and say, Mr. Yaeger, I'm giving you 2 weeks' notice. Huh. Oh, no, you're not. Let's go. I'm going to get in the truck here. I'm going to take you home. You couldn't have him in the rest of the installers bad-mouthing the company, and that's what they do. Oh, and by the way, I got 10 cents more on the dollar from XYZ.
Why do people do that? Why is that human nature?
Well, because that makes them feel better. It makes them justify where they're going and what they're doing.
It's so sad.
Well, it is as far as I was concerned. So, hell, I'd put them in their truck. I'd take them home in a damn New York minute.
Yeah. But what I found out, too, is from people around me that don't even work in the company I'm running, but also here, they were already talking bad things before that day happened. They were already infecting the culture before that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so sad because
that's that attitude again. Had this one guy working for me, him and his brother both. And had him working for me, and we got thermostats with our name on them. Because if you're having a problem with your heating or air conditioning company, where are you normally standing? In front of the thermostat. So I says, we want to install these thermostats. One guy says, I don't like those thermostats. What do you mean you don't like them? Who gives a big rat's tail what you like? I'm telling you, you're going to put them on there. I just don't like it. I won't put them on. You know, I used to be an ASA umpire. You're out of here. Wait a minute. Who's running this company? Who's making the decision? It sure as hell that's not him.
You know, I'm fascinated by anytime I have a very strong personality.
Really?
You'd probably say it some other way, but yeah, it's strong. But it's strong because I'm passionate about the things that I believe about operating and running the company and what our obligations are to consumers and being a realtor and what that means. I have very strong ideas about that. And I'm not going to lessen those. I'm not going to lessen those for people that don't want to work towards a level of mastery. I'm not going to lessen challenging somebody to be better than they currently are. Even if you don't want to be, I'm not going to lessen that. I'm not going to reduce the expectation that I have that we all go out and carry this brand with us. And just because a random person finds their way into this company just because they think that I should. Well, I'm not going to. Because who should we believe? Should you believe 10 other people who are really happy with the things that we're doing? Who have found success? Who have changed their life? Through their approach, they're changing the customers' lives they're involved in. Who should I listen to? Who's believable? Somebody that's been at your company 18 months that doesn't like the way things are going, or somebody that's been there 12 years who's succeeding at a high level? Who should be believable? I think we know that. And what we need to do as humans, we need to be really honest with ourselves. This is a part of emotional intelligence. This is a part of self-awareness. Go read a book about being a better person. Go pull up YouTube and type in, like, how to be a more positive individual. Go talk to someone that's living a great life about how it's done. And get out of your damn head. Only listen to the ones who have achieved what you want.
But the other ones want to bring everybody down to their level.
100%. You see it everywhere, Terry. Your company had them. My company has them. Everyone has them. So my advice is, don't be that person. And if you find yourself being that person, wake up and realize you need to change your mindset. You need to see this world differently. Stop thinking it's happening to you. No, you're doing it.
It's a lot more fun. It makes you happier. You know, everybody likes to be successful. If you're not, why? If you're not successful, and a lot of people around you are, whose fault is that then?
So we were talking about, we cover a few more things here because we could talk for a long time. We were sitting at lunch also, and we talked about somebody that we both knew in the real estate industry from a long time ago. And you're like, wow, how miserable of a life. So we're not going to name the person. How miserable of a life would it have been to live their life? And I went, amen, man. I can't even imagine going to bed, and this person was successful, lived in a very nice home in a good part of town with 2 successful kids. Like, guys, had a good wife, drove a luxury car, and they were one of the nastiest people to work with. For everyone. Other realtors, you as an inspector. And what I shared with you was, because I want to help that person. I don't want to complain. I want to problem solve. And I had been to lunch with the person. I had some positive interactions. But it just made your day worse being around them. But my response to you was, Terry, I was like, Terry, I don't think they know how to think better. I don't think they actually know that they could be positive. I don't think they know that.
Well, I'd hate to wake up every morning with a non-positive attitude and to know it's not going to get any better all day long. That'd make for a damn long day.
So on those days that you had struggles, what'd you do? How'd you counter that? How'd you combat it? Because you said you'd go to bed at night and you'd have some tough days, right? Not every...
Yeah, but I had a clean slate every morning. I mean, I might start back on that same problem, but I felt good in the morning. I'm going to get it taken care of. And I did. Because if you think every home inspection was an A1 home inspection, that's not so. We had our moments too. And it was my job, I'm the owner, to jump in there and get this taken care of. Those people paid us a lot of money. They relied on us to do a good inspection. I was thinking the other day about the one that really called me up. Agent called me up and said, Terry, you did a home inspection out at so-and-so and so-and-so, and the back spigot is leaking. I says, really? She says, yeah. I said, well, our job is to check that back spigot. That's our job. Now, normally when you shut off a spigot, it drips a little bit, and the inspector went on about his business. Well, the seller wants to know what you're going to do about it. Well, that's my job, though, to check that spigot. What I'll do for you, I'll send you an addendum that the spigot is leaking and that the seller ought to fix it. Well, that's the last I ever heard of that one. Well, come on now. I mean, that's our job. But it wasn't leaking before. Well, it's leaking now, and it's not something we did other than turn it on and off. So you got to fix that. That's a good story because it really frosted me that day when Agent Susie or whatever her name was.
Going all the way back to, you haven't told me too many stories about being in the Navy. How long were you in the Navy?
A little over 3 years.
Was that during the Korean War?
Oh, come on. That's between the Korea and Vietnam. I got out of the Navy in 1961. Vietnam was just starting up.
Just popping off.
And I was in a helicopter outfit, flying in the left-hand seat, which is a monitor enlisted co-pilot. So after I got out, I was painting. We were on a first-floor apartment. I was painting the bedroom. And this Army staff car pulled up, and a captain and a corporal got out and come up, and I watched them walk up the sidewalk. And our front door, I went, oh, damn, was I supposed to report to some reserve training thing? So I go up and I open the door, and the captain says, your name Terry Yaeger? And I said, yeah. He says, is your service number 4? I said, well, geez, you better come in. I mean, if they were going to arrest me or something, I didn't want to put the cuffs on me when, out on the sidewalk. So they come in, and they said, we'd like for you to come in the Army as a helicopter pilot. And I said, well, I wasn't making out as a policeman. I said, well, let me get back to you on that. So I called a friend of mine in the Army, and I says, Al, what's going on? He says, well, there's a place called Vietnam, and we're shipping helicopters and pilots over there left and right because they're shooting them all down and everything. And I says, oh, thanks a lot. So Jay and I got the atlas out. I'd never heard of Vietnam before. And we decided that with 2 little kids, that was not a place for me to be. So I stayed several more years on the police department. So, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed flying around. I used to fly over the top of the house and wave to Jane hanging up diapers. This is before throwaways. This were real cloth diapers in.
Is it tough to fly a helicopter?
No. Anybody can fly one straight and level. It's when you have to make a turn that you get in trouble. And I was a good helicopter pilot. You know what? How you know that?
Because you're still here.
I'm still alive.
Is it really hard, though? I mean, I'm serious.
No.
It's not.
No.
I guess it's hard when the rotors stop turning.
Well, they don't glide very well.
Yeah.
But they do auto-rotate. But they don't glide very well.
The auto-rotate is that it rotates by itself coming down.
As you're coming down, and then just before you get to the ground, you pull up and it lifts just for a little bit.
Do you think if you got into a helicopter to this day, do you think if you had to, you could fly it?
Be kind of scary for a few minutes. It's like a bicycle, I think. I don't know. I never tried because when I got out, I had to make a living now. I mean, like right now. I had 2 little girls, and I had to make a living right now. So I took a job that I thought was going to be my life career. And it had a lot of satisfying moments. I saved some lives. I saved this one little baby waiting for the life squad to get there a couple of times. And finally, I couldn't save any more, but I felt good about having done that. So there's a lot of positive things being a policeman. Down.
It would have probably done us all well to probably put some time in the military. I only have one sibling who was in the Army.
Well, I know your brother was in.
Yeah. Nobody else was. My dad was Air Force, Vietnam, all that stuff.
Yeah, it changed our life. Jay and I got married while I was in the Navy, and we weren't the two little kids that came out of the Navy as when I went in. I mean, I never shaved until I went in the Navy.
So what do you think? We've talked about a lot of stuff about the spice of life. Have you read a good book recently?
Well, I happen to be reading one now. I do a lot of reading now that I got this time on my hands.
Why did it take us so long to get to that today?
Well, this book was given to me by a friend of mine from England when I was in St. Petersburg. He has a condo there. And it has to do with, it's a mystery written by an Englishman, probably for English people. The English and Americans speak a language that's just similar to each other. It's not quite the same. They speak English, we speak American. But I'm about ready to finish this book, and it gets exciting. They're harvesting organs, and they're harvesting organs. Now, in order to harvest the organs, they got to find these street urchins and kill them. Wow, how's that for? And it's about 5 stories in one coming together. It's starting to come together now that the police are going to find them. And
how long does it take you to read a good book these days?
Well, it actually takes me quite a bit because I can only read like an hour or so at a time. Then I got my things I got to do to take care of Jane and so forth.
You've traveled the world.
I have.
I have 2 questions about that. The first one is, outside of the U.S., what's the favorite place that you traveled to?
Well, I wanted to tell you that Jay and I have actually traveled a good part of the world. We were in China in the 70s. We were the largest contingent ever allowed in the interior of China through General Electric Company. And all the places we've been, China, Hong Kong, Macau, England, Spain, Switzerland, Germany, Italy, all the Greek islands. I go on and on. Anyways, they're nice. Ain't nothing like America. We would come back in on a charter flight with General Electric or something, and when we landed, people would applaud. Per average, nobody lives as well as we do. Do we have our moments right now in our country? Yes, I think so. And I have concern for it. But hopefully we'll work our way through this. Because we are all entrepreneurs, every citizen here. They own a piece of this company, I believe.
What makes this country special? The best? When you come back, you want to clap.
Well, first of all, I think it's the best because of all the peoples that we have. The conglomeration of all the different nationalities. This is one of the few places in the world that you want Italian. You want Greek, you got Greek. Everything is made here. I have a granddaughter living in New York. On the street down below her are just one little restaurant after another. Whatever you want, you can get here. And that's all what makes up America. There was a guy on television this morning, a Democrat from California, of Indian descent. What a sharp guy. What a sharp guy. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes. So, we have the greatest. No one can, there's no place quite like America, to either side. Canada is not like America. South America is not like America, so.
But there's still people that have bad experiences here.
Well, everybody, with this many people, you're going to have bad experiences. Crime is up. You see that, you feel sorry for the people that it's happening to. But by and large, it's good. It's good. We can correct some of this.
I think the most special thing about us is we all have the opportunity. greater now than ever before.
which isn't.
That's very unique in this world.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen all over.
It doesn't happen many places.
Now, where else can a kid from Green Hills, beautiful downtown Green Hills, him and his lovely bride, who were kissing each other for the first time at 16, okay?
How dare you?
Here later on in life, we're where we are. What an opportunity! What an opportunity my daughters have had. What an opportunity that our 4 oldest grandchildren, because we have 2 families, remember?
15 years apart.
The 4 oldest grandchildren, they all have college degrees. They're all doing well. We're proud of them. And we have one girl lives in Austin, granddaughter lives in Austin, Texas. Another one lives in New York. But the other 6, every daughter's allowed to have 2 children. That's how it worked out. But all the other 6 grandchildren come up Sunday for Grandpa's Awful Waffles. And by the way, they were damn good.
See, this is why patience is important, because what you're talking about has taken multiple generations to construct.
The pastor at our church said, if you raise your children, they will in turn raise 3 generations of good children. It's not 100%, but get it. So that means if Jay and I raise our children, then you got 3 more generations. But our grandchildren, if they're good, then there's 3 more generations. Now, that's not to say we don't got a weasel in there someplace. But by and large, they have good attitude. Here we go. They got good attitudes. They all work hard. And they'll be successful. I rest my case. That's all there is to it. It's not, and it's just, if you come from a family that's not successful, and you may be the option, there's a difference to that.
No, my mom was successful in her own way.
Okay. Then.
Not family, one part of the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, you go ahead and be successful.
Yeah, if
your brothers are successful.
Listen, all 4 of us, we aren't like your daughters were. We aren't going through life, which is a little unfortunate, being siblings. We aren't going through life sharing it together. We're not. Your girls do.
To an extreme.
Well, but
to an extreme. If you want something to be known, tell one of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I think that their life is more enjoyable because of that.
Well, I think so.
Yeah. And so what I'm saying is we don't have that. But I think the reality is the reason why the 4 of us are out in the world doing productive things, not treating people bad, is because of my mom. But I also acknowledge the reason why we don't share the thing that your daughters share is because our dad didn't live up to his responsibility. He didn't. He didn't set a good example, right? And so because he didn't set that a good example, I don't know what part of the glue didn't stick, but thankfully we have my mom, because she is the one who made us understand how to go out and try to do the right things. There's just something about this relationship. What I realized we missed about my dad was there was no one that was there to be hard on us. My mom led with this work ethic idea, with do whatever it takes no matter what, sacrifice for the people that you owe a great responsibility to. She did that by default, and we felt love. But there wasn't anybody for us 3 boys to step up and say, shut up, act better.
Listen to your mom.
You know why? Because he wasn't doing the right thing. That's the facts. And I'm not upset about it anymore.
Well,
it's the facts.
It's something you carry with you.
100% we're a product of that,
yeah.
Right? And it's unfortunate that we don't share better relationships and aren't well-rounded in that manner, because we didn't have that as an example.
But you just said something.
Yeah.
Go out there and do what's right.
Yeah, 100%. We know how to do that. We know how to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. So I think it's no matter where you come from, because I had a good wife. I think no matter what, no matter the challenges we all face, I still look back and be like, well, if I changed any of it, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
And so I think that look at the challenges as great opportunities to learn and live a better life and grow. And if you're around somebody that treats people bad or even treated you bad, now you know how not to treat people. Right?
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, I think that's really good. All right, give us your passing thoughts here. We're going to get you home to spend time with Jane.
Well, the girls are coming over. It's our youngest daughter, Terry. Her birthday is the 28th of this month. So Jane and I are leaving for Florida on Sunday, so we're going to have more for cocktails.
Good.
I got a little notice here, something to the effect like, where in the hell are you?
But tell us this. I think that, so your advice to me is don't work as much and stop cursing as much. I appreciate that.
Every time you drop that F-bomb, I cringe. Because you know what?
I can't be perfect.
Oh, you got a lot of things besides that. You don't have to worry about that. Because if you want your company to be the best it can be, and so the leader needs to be the best he can be. And the only time that I have found that you drop an F-bomb, not you, but anybody, is just for the lack of something else to say that you could have said.
Well, I could say like hello.
Well, there's other ways to say it.
I could say hi.
I doubt that.
All right, so we need one more piece of this. So try not to curse as much, okay? Because some of my words are worse than some of yours. Don't work as much. I don't think I'm going to listen to that one, but I'm open-minded to hearing it. One more piece of advice for all of us that you would give your daughters, that you would give your grandkids, that you give to me, to us.
Attitude is everything. If you have a good attitude, things just kind of slip right in spots. It all meshes together. If you got a lousy attitude, oh, God love you. You know, you got to have a good attitude. And as far as your real estate agents go, nothing happens until something is sold.
All right.
All right?
Love you, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate
Thank you. Thanks for having me out.
Yep.